Hi, I wanted to create this video to talk about timelines and objective criteria as we move through this ACL rehab process. The first thing to note is that of course the surgeon is the only person who can clear you for return to run, return to sport, things like that. However, in general, surgeons tend to have less stringent criteria than the objective strength and functional testing criteria that is laid out in the physical therapy research and that I use with all of my clients. That being said, I think it really is important that we adhere to these objective criteria because they allow you to make sure that you have success when we're returning to these activities, such as running and jumping and cutting. Thus, it's really important that we don't use time alone. On top of that, time alone can be different for everyone. Everyone's recovery is different, and the variety of things that go into your surgery, the amount of prehab you did, the level you were at prior to this, the level we're hoping to get you back to are all going to affect your goals, your timeline, and a variety of things. This is also impacted by your lifestyle and the things you have to get back to. For instance, if you have to rush to get back to work and you're standing on your feet a lot at work, that may be a thing that's going to slow us down in terms of returning to running and jumping and cutting, but that might be a necessary thing that we'll have to manage. All of that being said, I'm going to talk first in terms of if we were to move through this rehab perfectly. Starting from baseline, post-op ACL, a great goal for you would be to run at 4.5 months. To run at 4.5 months, you would need to have gone through significant progression off of the crutches with a focus on quad strengthening, full extension range of motion that you're maintaining with everything you're doing, moving through functional strengthening, including lunges, squatting, things of that nature, a perfect form on forward step down, lateral step down, no increase in swelling with walking as much as you want, no losses of extension with walking as much as you want, and not having a reactive knee that's consistently reacting to increases in load. Most importantly, after all of those things, we are then looking for a strength symmetry index of at least 83% on all of the objective testing that we are using. That's very important to allow us to know that you have the quadricep strength to start something like a walk to run progression. Finally, I think it is generally best to take you from double limb jumping and plyometrics before you get into running. So we would go from machine-based strengthening to more functional-based strengthening, to double limb jumping, to running once you've met all that criteria. In regards to that timeline, very few people are truly prepared and ready to run at 4.5 months. The thing about that is, and the thing about this ACL recovery, is that it is frankly not that important to start running at that phase. Even if you push running back to 5, 6, 7 months, as long as you have a brick foundation and are not having a reactive knee, not losing extension, and have a strong brick foundation, you are then able to move more quickly through a running progression, a jumping and hopping progression, an agility progression, and a sprinting progression. Although those things take time, they don't take nearly the amount of time that it takes if you've rushed through the earlier phases. So most important is that we nail that strengthening early on, get that walking right as we progress you off crutches, make sure you get full extension, get your swelling down, and progress you with the goals of moving through those things, the criteria I've laid out, and hitting that strength symmetry of 83% when we think you're ready to run. In the later stages, we really want to make sure that you're at 100% symmetry on a series of hop tests as well as a series of strength tests to know that we are fully ready to get you back to return to sport. We'll make sure that you have confidence in going through this whole progression and moving from to predictable environments to less predictable environments, and gradually exposing you to activities like sports or skiing or whatever your end goal is. As long as we are patient, we know that it generally takes a full year, 9 to 12 months, with us moving really towards that 12 months, knowing that that 12 months is the time needed for your biology to ligamentize that graft and create a viable ACL out of whatever kind of graft you've used. That allows us to know that even if we've made some mistakes early on, or even if you've made mistakes early on, or even if we're a little bit slower than that typical timeline, it doesn't push us that far back off of our goal of returning to our prior level of activity at 1 year. I'm so excited to help take you through this progress and these timelines. And it's really important that we focus on knowing what our goals are and knowing what we're hitting week over week, keeping our eye on both our long-term goals and our short-term goals. Thanks and good luck.